Salam kenal semuanya, saya Billy Jandriko, saat ini General Manager di Clean Singapore Private Limited. Sorry, this is typo right over there. Universitas Katolik Parahyangan, FISIP, Ilmu Administrasi Bisnis. Jadi kalau misalnya waktu saya lagi bikin halaman ini, kerasa banget kayak mau submit tugas dulu ke Bu Jen. Jadi harus masukin NPM-nya, jadi masih ingat banget 2010, 320, dan 111. Right, tapi kayaknya sekarang udah berbeda ya NPM-nya itu ya Bu. Right, so I think a quick journey about me. Tahun 2010, decided to move to Bandung untuk kuliah di Universitas Katolik Parahyangan selama 3,5 tahun, picking a lot of stuff, dan terutama dengan Bu Jen juga one of my mentors. Selain daripada itu, kalau misalnya teman-teman kenal dengan Ibu Maria, Ibu Nia, ya kan, those top 3 super power women in our ilmu administrasi business yang selalu menginspirasi. Kalau Ibu Nia banyak dari HR, pengalaman HR-nya, Bu Jen strategi, dan juga kalau Ibu Maria entrepreneur. So one of the key things that I've learned, I pick up a lot, is through these 3 super power women in our uni. Lalu kemudian akhirnya selama along the way tahun 2014 begitu selesai sekolah, lanjutin sempat bisnis juga di Bandung. It's a small business, terus sambil juga ambil MBA di ITB untuk 1,5 tahun. And then after that I decide to leave Bandung, terus akhirnya migrating to United States. So living in New York, back and forth for quite a while, coming back New York, Singapore for about like 2 years, baru akhirnya menetapkan untuk pulang ke Papa. Akhirnya then I work for my parents for around a year di Singapura. So basically coming from the F&B background, jadi I starting my professional entrepreneur life from the F&B industry, and then therefore I moved into the oil and gas, dan juga karena kebetulan itu my parents was in there, oil and gas dan juga agriculture, tapi tidak bertahan lama karena nggak betah di korporat. Kebiasaan running business, jadi nggak gitu senang. Then I decide to join this company called Clean. So dan akhirnya dari 2014, 2016 ya bolak-balik sampai 2017, 18 baru akhirnya decided to residing in Singapore. Jadi setelah 2 tahun berkelana kemana-mana, dari itu and then taking some international banking, finance. Jadi kan karena Singapura kita tahu sempat bolak-balik Hong Kong juga, so keeping learning about the finance industry and so on. But I feel like finance is not it's not my bread and butter, and I decide to not continue with them. So and then it turns out voila, I came into Cleans, and here we are, here the journey start. So glad to know everyone. Semoga this is a good start for all of us to get to know each other and hopefully to cross a path in the future as well. So let's start our guest lectures today. What I'm going to share with everyone here, as the first of the content, we are going to see what is the conditions in the digital business in Southeast Asia, right? Untuk saat ini, kenapa sih Asia Tenggara itu menjadi pembicaraan sedemikian banyak negara-negara besar? Let's say you name it, right? You can say China, you can say United States, and many other countries, that those well-developed country that looking at Southeast Asia. Kenapa Asia Tenggara itu tuh menjadi sedemikian menarik buat mereka untuk investasi dan juga mengembangkan bisnis yang mereka ataupun invest their business in Southeast Asia, right? Jadi mungkin teman-teman kayak sering banget dengar kayak misalnya kayak Huawei buka manufacturers di Indonesia, terus kayak misalnya kayak kemarin let's say Tesla sempat mention mau bikin nickel battery factory di daerah Jawa gitu kan. I mean that's always being a reason of why those companies are looking at us, right? I think let me keep sharing, keep on going. Please pause me if you guys need any questions. Jadi teman-teman santai aja kalau mau pakai bahasa Indonesia atau mau bahasa Inggris, feel free to go with that. I'm totally fine. Saya bisa banget mengerti. Cuma I think I'll deliver my presentations in English for a better and also much more fluent kind of like delivery. Yeah. All right, so yeah, Southeast Asia is a growing, so everyone can see, right? If let's say we are looking at not only Southeast Asia, but greater of Southeast Asia beyond outside of this, 8 to 10 countries that we have all around, we can see that, in Indonesia, we are about 85 million employed person who are less than 30. It means apa? Southeast Asia ini tuh benar-benar menjadi pusat dengan orang yang paling it's a productive age, right? With the biggest range of the productive age, right, across Asia Pacific, right? Jadi kalau misalnya teman-teman lihat bahwa di Indonesia sendiri kita ada 66 juta jiwa yang that actively working, productive, highly skilled, right? Then you can see, right, Malaysia, Cambodia, Philippines, Vietnam, Myanmar, Thailand, ya kan? Kalau menurut aku Singapura mungkin sekarang sudah berubah, it's not only 1 mil, tapi mungkin it goes beyond 1 mil karena data ini yang saya dapatkan this was 2020, right? So it's about 1 year back. Lalu selain daripada itu, di Southeast Asia sendiri itu menjadi salah satu daerah atau kawasan yang paling tinggi investable assets per person-nya. Jadi dalam artian bahwa along the way when the Southeast Asia is growing, Southeast Asia ini tuh menjadi tempat yang paling cepat bertumbuhnya orang-orang kaya. Ya, paham ya teman-teman. Jadi kayak yang paling gampang untuk grow the assets. Kenapa? Karena ya bisnisnya growing very well, the revenue is coming in the lightning strike fast, ya kan? Sehingga Southeast Asia ini menjadi salah satu destinasi yang paling disukai seperti itu. Jadi kalau misalnya kita lihat bahwa Vietnam menjadi salah satu negara yang paling cepat menghasilkan orang kaya di dunia, ya kan? Jadi high net worth individualsnya itu tuh bertumbuh kembang cepat sekali, ya kan? Vietnam, all of us know, they have went through a lot of war, they have went through a lot of difficult times, but you see now today, right? They have been coming back even stronger than many other countries who are independence earlier than them, right? Selain daripada itu, Southeast Asia juga termasuk salah satu kawasan yang paling well educated. We have 1,966 university across Southeast Asia, dan diantaranya itu adalah university yang bisa dibilang setara dengan Ivy Leagues, right? Now let's say the closest one, let's say Singapore, right? Di Singapura we have those kind of like NTU, NUS, top 10 university, right? Terus di Indonesia sendiri kita juga punya banyak sekali universitas baik negeri maupun swasta. So I will say that I'm proud that today I was coming from Universitas Parayangan, but I will be able to compete in the Asia Pacific regions, right? Jadi not only in Southeast Asia, but we are able to spinning all around. So yeah, so be proud of Southeast Asians. Selain daripada itu, kalian bisa lihat di sini saya juga kasih data-datanya bahwa Southeast Asia is the home to emerging tech ecosystem, right? Jadi kalau misalnya teman-teman kalau dulu lewatin daerah Dago suka ada tulisan Bandung Emerging City, ya kan? Nah kalau ini tuh Southeast Asia itu the home to emerging tech ecosystem, di mana itu adalah kita akan menjadi tuan rumah untuk berkembangnya ekosistem teknologi, industri teknologi, right? Di mana you can name it, right? Many of those out of company, Decacorn, Unicorn, they are all well grown, right? Dari Indonesia terutama, lalu kemudian dari Singapura juga. So you can see Gojek, Tokopedia, Bilibili.com, ya kan? Kalau misalnya Singapura, we have Garena, Shopee, right? Selain daripada itu, Southeast Asia we have up to 3 million IT talents. Jadi kalau misalnya kita mau competing di tech ecosystem, maka kita akan belajar bahwa we need the tech talent supply, right? All of our, saya rasa di sini semua we have all our business acumen, our commercial savvy side, bahwa untuk menggerakkan bisnisnya kita sangat-sangat membutuhkan IT talents, right? Selain daripada itu, Southeast Asia is way 10 times cheaper than any other major country. If let's say you compare to United States, you compare to let's say Eastern Europe, Russia, all those countries, and then you can name it, right? Kita itu tuh masih jauh-jauh lebih murah seperti itu. So this is a very kita punya orang, kita punya harga yang sangat kompetitif, ya kan? Maka Southeast Asia is one of the great things to know. Selain daripada itu, nowadays, after COVID hits, right, after COVID strikes all around the world, and then we know that, remote working is here to stay, right? 3 out of 4 corporate leaders intend to move out at least 5% of their on-site employees to remote position permanently. Jadi sebenarnya teman-teman tuh juga akan get used to it. So I will say that, nowadays the world, no matter where you are, you could be in Bandung, you could be in Yogyakarta, you could be in Bali, wherever you are, right? This is a borderless world nowadays. Everyone was connected, right? Kita nggak pernah tahu kalau dulu tuh I have to make my flight all the way dari Singapura ke Bandung, terus dijemput, terus baru ke kampus segala macam. And then nowadays, I just work in my house. I can go out. I can go out for a breakfast, and then coming back and very comfortable. I just speak to the screen, and I hope everyone can hear me very clear, right? So jadi udah nggak ada lagi yang namanya kayak kesulitan untuk outreach ke negara-negara tertentu. Nanti saya akan juga sharing tips how we grow our business 10 times even faster dengan memberdayakan Indonesia, lokasinya Indonesia seperti itu. Dan teman-teman bisa lihat kayak 7% already work from home on a permanent basis, dan 23% possibly could work from home in a high income country. Jadi orang-orang tuh udah merasa bahwa kayak nowadays untuk teman-teman yang di dalam rumah, ya kan, mau lagi-lagi saya ingatkan bahwa we are going to get used to this, right? We are going to get used to this. Jadi kayak kebiasaan kerja dari rumah yang kayak misal teman-teman leye-leye di ranjang, terus kemudian tidak mandi pagi untuk ikutan online class, that one should be wiped away, guys. Kenapa? Karena in the moving forward, this is our life, right? This is our life. So, get yourself prepared, dress for success, and then coming out, and then let's work remote. Okay? So that's one thing. Nah, itu adalah a quick glimpse all around Southeast Asia tentang ini. Saya mungkin nggak kilas lebih detail tentang Southeast Asia. Lalu kemudian saya akan masuk kepada Indonesia, alright? So I'll take a pause here. Any questions, any thoughts, any feedback is very welcome. Ada yang punya ini, ada yang punya, oh yeah, hey Bill, I think about this, right? This is something good to be add in. Ya, mungkin you guys baca atau apapun akan jauh lebih detail lagi daripada saya. Anyone?
Ayo silakan tadi ya, kalau ada gagasan yang tadi disampaikan atau apa namanya ya, kita sebenarnya Billy tadi membawa kita masuk pada kondisi sekarang ya Bill ya. Ya.
Right.
Oke, lanjut aja dulu deh Bill.
Oke, boleh. Alright, so
mereka bisa raise hand aja ya.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Cool. Alright, let's move into Indonesia, right? Ini juga sebagai value propositions, UVP dari masing-masing negara sendiri. I mean, this is not something relatable to what we are doing, tetapi just for a reference. Jadi kalau misalnya teman-teman merasa bahwa, when we are talking about digital business, we are all talking about the manpower. We are all talking about like where we can find the right person to work for our products, right? When we build, let's say, the e-commerce, when we build our AI engine, for example, then which is a country that I have to tap in. And then if let's say, nowadays a lot of young people, they invest a lot in blockchains, Bitcoins, right? They are very smart on that. And then, which is the country that you guys have to go through, and then looking at the talents. So this is just for reference. Karena aku pikir teman-teman di sini juga, you guys can start the business anytime as you wish, right? How about in Indonesia? Inspired to my trip back to Bali. Jadi kemarin tuh baru ke ini juga Bedugul, right? Ini daerah Bedugul. So just a quick intermezzo. Loving play golf a lot. Jadi kemarin ada charity golf tournament. Terus akhirnya ikutan fly over to Bali, karantina dulu Jakarta baru ke Bali. Terus and then I come to this place. It was very beautiful. Right. So let's talk about Indonesia, digital business Indonesia, right? Kenapa Indonesia tuh menjadi salah satu potensial yang paling besar di Southeast Asia? Ya kan, dan kenapa I think you know, today if let's say all of you guys here have been thinking of like go online, digitalize your business, digitalize your business models, right? I will go for 1,000% to support you guys to do on that. Why? What's the reason behind that, right? So in Indonesia, we are 20 to 30% growth of startup by 2019, right? Jadi kenapa saya ambil 2019 ini adalah comparison-nya gitu loh, bahwa even kayak sebelum COVID itu we are 20 to 30% growth. Even the world has been mentioned that they might be slowing down due to the COVID strike. But well, again, right, 20-30%, if let's say we are slowing down, it won't drop us far to minus. Nggak mungkin, ya kan? Kenapa? Karena I will say that, because the tech business, the tech industry has been one of the strongest industry that has been keep growing over the COVID situations, right? I mean, COVID is going to get over soon, finger crossed. But well, again, right, they will be coming back even stronger. Dari orang-orang yang susah ketemu aja, yang bisa dibilang kayak productivity-nya lebih rendah daripada ketemu langsung, mereka aja bisa survive. You can name it, right? Sedemikian kalau misalnya teman-teman baca tech magazine di Tech in Asia, Crunchbase, or whatsoever you name it, right? You can see wah, sini dapat funding sekian, dapat ini funding sekian, dapat funding sekian. All the money is keep flowing into the tech industry in Indonesia. And then it could be one of you guys, right? By 2021, projected growth of Indonesia economy is around like 6.6 to 7.1%. And then it has been dominated by tech industry as well, right? Selain daripada itu, the internet user in Indonesia in January 2020, we have 175.4 million, right? Indonesia sendiri kita punya sekitar 270 juta jiwa, dan lebih dari setengahnya menggunakan internet. Can you imagine that? If let's say you are digitalize your business and then you can grasp only 1% of it. Jadi teman-teman gak usah serving the market. Jadi kalau market ini kan, let's say we don't put a blindfold, right? Kita nggak pakai kacamata kuda, bahwa ketika kita run the business, there always a substitute. Jadi kalau misalnya teman-teman belajar tentang SWOT, ya kan, there's always a substitution yang menggantikan kita, opportunities, the trends, what will be our strength yang orang lain itu juga punya. Jadi the pie, I would say like the pie chart of this market, kalian kuasain 1% aja, you guys will be the crazy rich Indonesians very very soon, right? So nggak usah aiming for like, oh, I want to become the top market leaders of like 80% market share. We don't think that one, right? We look at one things at one time, one step at one time. Okay, so you see the potentials. Furthermore, other than that, right, 1.67% of Indonesian citizens who has started their own business, right? Teman-teman bisa lihat kenapa, banyak banget orang-orang kayak berlomba-lomba untuk bikin, let's say, startup incubator, ya kan? Bahkan maksudnya uni juga pada bikin lab business and so on and so on. This is also the reason, right? We need more entrepreneurs. We need more people to open up the workplace for our Indonesians. Tapi selain daripada itu juga memang potensialnya sangat besar sekali gitu loh. Dan juga teman-teman tidak perlu khawatir untuk kekurangan untuk mencari orang. Kenapa? Karena we have 183 million Indonesian citizens that falls under productive age. Ya, kita semua meskipun kita sedang bersekolah, but actually there's something that really can be done out there, right? Selain daripada itu, valuation kita by 2025, we are still projected 240 billions over the 5 year, right? Dari 2020 sampai 2025 we still have the growth and also the valuations itself. Dan let's see, right? Kemarin saya sempat baca ini tentang dari businessline.com. So company is moving out of China, lalu kemudian dan I mean you guys knowing it, right? The Asia Pacific, China is the greatest. I mean, we have to admit it, right? No matter how how cool they are, or no matter how messy they are, but I mean, we don't see that part, right? Tapi again, in terms of like business opportunity, the business growth, right? China has been the greatest one. And then, as in the politically, right? We as a businessman, we analyze a lot of sector, right? Jadi nggak melulu kayak, kalau misalnya kita mau, sebenarnya kalau menurut saya kayak, it's kind of, I mean, I don't talk about politics, to be honest, but we can see, right, how China has been growing, but at the same time, Indonesia has been growing a very good relation with China, and then it can drive many tons of money to come to Indonesia. And we can say Indonesia, dan bahkan di dalam bisnis lain tersebut menyatakan bahwa Indonesia is the last gold mines, yang adalah tempat untuk ambil pertambangan emas terakhirnya. I mean, this is sebuah kiasan, tetapi ini adalah tempat untuk mendapatkan uang gitu loh, ya kan? Jadi the digital economy growth starting dari 2015, you guys can see we almost triple from a year to year. Ada yang 2x, ada yang 3x seperti itu. So again, right? If let's say we are not playing one of it, and who is going to do that, right? This is all the opportunity that we have in Indonesia. Many more data coming in. Startup ecosystem in Indonesia. We have 217 million of the populations. Dan saat ini di Indonesia 2019 kita punya 2,074 number of startup, and then you can see we have 2.3 or 2.4 billion money injected into Indonesia in 2019, right? I think nowadays we're even more decacorn and unicorn grow over these 2 years. Social enterprise is something that we love to share around, like social enterprise ecosystem in Indonesia. Nearly half of social enterprise leader will fall under age of 25 to 34. Jadi ini sebenarnya bisa dibilang you guys are going to tapping into this age soon, right? Mungkin teman-teman sekarang di 19, 20, right? So why not we start early, right? So 70% of social enterprise in Indonesia just started in the last 2 years, and we have 342,000 number of social enterprise in Indonesia. Jadi bisa dibilang kayak ini menjadi salah satu industri yang paling di-highlight ketika when I do the research and creating this presentation, bahwa ternyata social enterprise itu menjadi salah satu yang paling besar gitu iniannya komposisinya. Berarti sebenarnya kan kayak Indonesia kan senangnya membantu sosial ya, like membantu satu sama lain seperti itu. Well, I mean, starting with social enterprise challenges, ada 20. Jadi yang tadi itu tuh adalah seluruh kesempatan-kesempatan yang ada, tetapi tidak menutup kemungkinan bahwa we also have the threats behind that, right? Kita juga punya threats behind that, where there's a 29% startup failed due to the failure in liquidity. Jadi kalau misalnya teman-teman sempat baca buku The Blitzscaling dari Reid Hoffman, that can tell us why there's some of the startup is doing the blitzscaling, and then some of the startup is having a blitz failing is due to the liquidity. Selain daripada itu, finding the right team, we have the people, but a lot of time we miss the right person to join our team. So therefore, that's a failure. And then the third one is actually 42% of the startup failed due to the failure in identifying market needs. Ya kan, kayak kadang-kadang tuh, I would say that as a young people, we are very wild, we are very idealistic. But turns out the market the product that we've been thinking around wasn't a product that has been expected by the environment, right? By the markets. So that's another failure. And then 23% of the startup get out compete in the markets. Ada juga yang kayak nggak bisa berkompetisi dalam market yang is very fast moving markets, right? So, well, I think that's pretty much about Indonesia as a kickstart. Lantas kemudian saya akan how I do relate this into the business that I'm running at this point of time. So in 2016, when I was graduates from my master, I went to US. Waktu di US tuh kayak sering banget dengar kayak oh yeah, I mean all of us, even a JLo business. If you guys know JLo shirts gitu. It is kind of like semacam dessert, ya kan? Apa ya? How to say that? It's a jelly shot yang dalam itu diisi sama vodka, sama tequila gitu-gitu. So it has been very popular in US at that time for those young people for have a party. Terus kayak even kayak business yang kayak JLo gitu aja tuh they can digitalize it. Dan itu tuh has been very well known across the regions gitu loh, kayak at least for my states where I'm living in. So I live in New York. Yeah, I mean they even sell the JLo through an apps gitu loh. Kayak wah dikit-dikit tuh langsung digitalize gitu. Dan even though they are in New York, but their markets can go beyond New York by very far away gitu. Dan salah satunya Jokowi waktu itu visit Silicon Valley, right? And then it means that our lead of the country has been looking at tech industry is something that we have to keeping up, right? Itu tahun 2016. And it all start with the dreams. I'll say that it's all start with the dreams. Dan akhirnya di 2016, Pak Jokowi sempat mention bahwa investing in high growth startup offer a strong potential to create jobs, spur innovations, increase productivity, and internationalize local business. Indonesia hope that this 1,000 high-tech startup become medium and large firm and locomotive for the economy. Jadi lagi-lagi bahwa, this is the support from our lead of the country, right? Yeah, even president has been agreed to us that, tech startup is something that you have to go to. Kayak don't even look at, mungkin boleh aja gitu, kayak teman-teman bisa lihat kayak, let's say in Indonesia, I hear a lot about like Kopi Kenangan gitu yang bisa dapat valuations of like over millions and millions and millions of USD, right? Just because of how they are digitalize their business, how they have been grow their market share all around Indonesia, right? So this could be one thing as well. And then here we are, here the journey, right? So setelah 2016, we all hear about this. At that time, I was blind to tech industry, to be honest. Jadi baru dulu pertama kali when I coming into the business, I was running F&B. Di dalam F&B itu tuh, I learned about social media strategy, search engine optimizations, where people comes to Bandung, they are looking, where's the business where's the food stall I have to go through. Bandung itu tuh udah kayak, I was start the business in 2014 at that time. But it's getting into the red oceans very fast. Kenapa? Karena everyone is building cafe, restaurant. And then at one point of time, I feel like this is not something that we can really do. And then with some other reasons, and it turned out I stepped out and then flew to New York to continue my life, right? And then after that, I keep picking up about all of this IT industry, tech industry. I don't even aware about what is this. And then I very skeptical, sangat skeptical waktu itu kayak apaan sih tech industry itu semua nggak kelihatan, all in a phone. I don't even aware about it, right? Lantas kemudian akhirnya, so when I coming back to Singapore, join my parents' business, and then it's very stable business, thank God for that. Very comfortable living, but I feel like there's something missing. That I'm a young people, I'm smart, I have those experience, and then why I don't do some things to grow the country, to help the country. So, long story short, I got a chance to meet my co-founder, to look at this all around this, right? Jadi waktu itu tuh pas kebetulan ada Rising 50, Republic Indonesia and Singapore 50 years diplomatic anniversary, dan saya mulai memikirkan bahwa kayak, sebenarnya Singapura dan Indonesia tuh sangat dekat sekali. Dan Singapura waktu itu di tahun 2016, Singapura itu tuh sudah lagi gencar-gencarnya di dalam tech industry. Meanwhile, Indonesia is just about started. We don't hear much of the incubator. We don't hear much of this VC coming to Indonesia to support and invest in Indonesia startup, right? Tapi di Singapura tuh udah gila banget growth-nya. And then we see that there's something that it can be done, right? Jadi the idea was coming, when I was in Hong Kong, I saw that this Hong Kong to Shenzhen correlations. Jadi di mana perusahaan-perusahaan Hong Kong tuh mereka nggak pernah punya dapur produksi di Hong Kong. Kenapa? It's way too expensive. And then they all put it in Shenzhen in China, right? Then I said, Singapore and Batam is one of the way how we can do it, right? At that time, I wasn't clear. Sama seperti teman-teman, benar-benar blur, benar-benar tidak tahu apa yang sedang terjadi. Tapi aku merasa bahwa Singapura dan Batam ini cuma 30 menit jaraknya, right? And then for me as an Indonesian that living in Singapore, very easy for me coming back to Batam. Kalau kangen nasi Padang ya pulang ke Batam. Kalau kangen nasi betutu ya pulang ke Batam gitu. Nah, kangen ikan bakar Cianjur ya pulang ke Batam. So it's all those, right? But I don't think and then along the way, I don't close my mind. Jadi kadang-kadang ini juga menjadi salah satu pelajaran I would love to share with all of us here, that don't close your mind and keep hearing and learning from the people around you, right? And at that time I was very blurry. Terus kayak my co-founder was telling me that, Bill, nih Batam sama Indonesia nih, Singapura dan Batam nih dekat sekali, dan kamu orang Indonesia, you must hold a lot of potentials right over there. And who else will doing it, right? Jadi akhirnya di ulang tahun anniversary ke-50, akhirnya me and my co-founder, we are running this event called Hackathons. Kita undang teman-teman seluruh Indonesia. We work together with Economic Development Board Singapore, STIF, disupport oleh teman-teman. Kalau bisa lihat di sini, ini semua brand Indonesia ada BaseNet, ini Politeknik Negeri Batam karena venue-nya. The rest of it is all Singapore brand, right? You know, they are actually Singaporeans. The Singapore government is way noticed us even earlier than our own government. I will say that, right? Kayak makanya mereka yang gencar untuk support kayak, ya udah deh kita coba ke Batam dan we see right how we can grow the tech industry. Sama bisnisnya itu terjadi di Singapura, headquarter office-nya itu ada di Singapura, tetapi production-nya itu ada di Batam, seperti Hong Kong dan Shenzhen, right? Jadi akhirnya from that event, it was very successful event. We have 600 talents, tech talents coming up through the you know, to join our event. This is hackathon event, ya kan? And then you know. And then we see like, berarti ada talent-talent dan kita bisa bikin Batam tuh sebagai dapur produksi untuk produk-produk teknologi. You name it, right? Let's say application in Grab and many others, right? That's something that we can build for Singapore. Dan kita bisa ekspor jasa teknologinya kita ke Singapura. Nggak usah jauh-jauh, ke Singapura aja dulu. So therefore, Glints Talent Hub was born, right? Dan waktu itu setelah 2017 Mei, dan kita jadi ada lanjutan selebrasi 50 tahun ekonomi 50 tahun anniversary-nya, and then you know they build this event, right, where our Mr. President come to Singapore, and then they are kayak seolah-olah kayak presiden itu secara official bilang bahwa Batam as a digital bridge connecting Indonesia and Singapore, right? I think someone is turning on the mic.
Ya, Cynthia kayaknya kamu bocor tuh mic-nya, Sin. Nah, udah.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you very much. Nah, jadi dari sana tuh akhirnya kita, wah ini semakin bagus, semakin didukung kan. Akhirnya we keep on striving, right? So when at the start we build this Nongsa Digital Park. Jadi waktu itu as a very young business, waktu itu bisnis kita tuh baru berumur 3 bulan. Right, kita baru berumur 3 bulan dan akhirnya kita sepakat untuk join ventures untuk partnership dengan Citra Mas Group dan juga Sinar Mas Group, right? So therefore we build this Nongsa Digital Park. Jadi bangga dan juga senang sekali waktu pembukaannya kita. You guys can see, right? When I start the business, ini hanya orang-orang ini yang menjadi timnya saya waktu itu. Very small, 10 orang saja. Can you imagine at that time, I have to bring all of this VIP into my office to take around. Sampai malu kan kayak, office-nya cuma 10 orang kan malu banget gitu. Sampai akhirnya saya ajakin anak-anak university yang nggak tahu ngapa-ngapain cuma duduk buat di kantor biar penuhin kantornya saya. Right? It was like, you know, it's just to impress people that I have the talent, I have the peoples behind me, right? Then that's something that we do. Jadi akhirnya senang banget, bangga sekali. Then therefore we build this Nongsa Digital Park. Dan this is where we are today. Jadi untuk saat ini building 1, 2, 3 it all belongs to Glints, and then 4, 5, 6 is ready to be opened up after the COVID, right? Lalu kemudian kita juga ini ada IT Academy. Jadi kita juga bikin Glints Academy gitu. Karena kenapa? Karena waktu itu saya pikir bahwa kalau misalnya kita misalnya nih, semua orang bikin restoran teman-teman. Lantas kemudian dengan sangat cepat orang akan berebutan supplier, berebutan bahan baku untuk dijadikan makanan, benar nggak teman-teman? Then I saw this opportunity, right? Like, kalau misal semua orang bikin bisnis, lantas siapa yang menyediakan IT talentnya? Siapa yang menyediakan chefnya untuk masak produk tersebut untuk mereka jual? Dan kalau begitu kita harus bikin IT Academy, di mana anak-anak ini kita groom, kita ajarkan secara gratis. So it's coming from our philanthropist arm. di mana we put our money right over there. Kita ajarin anak-anak Sumatera, kita invite mereka dari Aceh, dari Pekanbaru, dari mana-mana. Kalau Jawa kan udah banyak ya IT Academy, tetapi di Sumatera tidak ada. Kita invite mereka ke sekolahnya kita, we invite them and then and just live there. Right? Karena this is the whole ecosystem that we have, and then we have a lot of houses all around, ya kan? Dan akhirnya mereka belajar di sana. Setelah mereka belajar, mereka akan langsung presentasi ke klien-kliennya kita yang ada di sini, and then they get hired straight away. Jadi orang-orang tidak akan merasakan kekurangan tech talent juga. So yeah, I mean, in a very short time, we have grown all of these peoples, right? This is how we started back then, and then I mean, I get a lot of support. I mean, setelah Presiden mengutarakan tentang Batam ini sebagai digital bridge, and I get a lot of support from the Indonesia kementerian juga dari Indonesia dan lain-lain, a lot of support coming in, so very grateful for that. Dan akhirnya Pak Habibie juga datang ke kita, Pak Luhut juga datang untuk kunjungin kita untuk lihat bahwa what is going on in Batam, right? Batam tuh it's just a jungle, right? It's just a totally jungle, right? Who knows Batam? Batam tuh adalah tempatnya orang ekspor TKW gitu loh, ya kan? And then how could it Batam become like very high tech area for Singapore? Ya kan, akhirnya mereka datang samperin kita, belajar, try to find out of what is going on right up there. So in 2019, this is all my team. 2020, right? This is how I run the business of 5 countries and with more than 1,000 employees. Right, so can you imagine ini tuh nggak lebih dari 100 orang teman-teman. Tapi just because of like we developing through the technology, we can grow that efficient, right? Dengan kita bisa running dan kita bisa manage lebih dari 1,000 orang di 5 negara yang berbeda. So nowadays, Glenn's Talent Hub, we have it in Singapore, Hong Kong, Vietnam, Japan, Taiwan. Ya, in Indonesia kita juga punya kita ada di Batam, kita ada di Jakarta, ya kan? And then this year, I mean 2022, we are preparing ourselves to penetrating beyond Asia Pacific. We would love to go beyond, let's say US or either Europe, right? So, yeah. Jadi salah satu one of the learnings that I had from time to time is that there is always an opportunity, right? Selalu ada opportunity di situ, tetapi we have to see like how we want to grab it. Are we want to be part of the startup company builder, or we want to be part of like the supplier, right kan? Kita mau berkembang di dunia F&B nggak melulu harus dengan menjualan produk jadi makanan semangkok piring, but we can always play all around the supplier as well. And this is how I see it. Ketika semua orang bikin perusahaan IT, maka mereka butuh orang. Then that's why I kept it in. I built this Glenn's Talent Hub. Right, di mana how the Glenn's Talent Hub works is that kita bangun supply hub, misalnya bangun di Indonesia. Mereka jadi perusahaan-perusahaan Singapura, perusahaan-perusahaan Hong Kong, Jepang, mereka itu akan mencari IT talent, right? Dan akhirnya mereka datang ke kita, mereka bilang, Billy, saya mau set up operations 20 orang di supply poolnya kamu, ya kan? Untuk tech talentnya kita yang bisa membangun produk A, produk B, produk C, gitu. And I said, yes, bring it on board, and then that's how we build it. Jadi kita terus hiring. Then we always all the time hiring, right? So that's one thing like how we export our technology services kepada negara lain. But at the same time, there's also another part I'm seeing is that satu, saya membantu negara saya untuk mengembangkan kualitas IT talentnya kita. Yang kedua, saya membuka jalan bagi banyak sekali anak-anak muda Indonesia untuk melihat keluar daripada Indonesia sendiri. Ya kan? I mean, we have plenty of choice in Jakarta. You guys can work for Blibli, you guys can work for Gojek, you guys can work for many other company, but again, that's all in Indonesia. Tapi hari ini dengan ada Glenn's Talent Hub, kita membuka kesempatan untuk anak-anak Indonesia bisa kerja dengan perusahaan Singapura, kerja dengan perusahaan Hong Kong, dan they can compete di Asia Pacific. Right? Dan yang ketiga, mereka semua dibayar dengan dolar, and then that's how I grow the economy of Indonesia, right? And then our transactions in a monthly basis is up to 20 million USD, right? That coming inflow every month to Indonesia untuk hanya membayar 1.000 tech talent yang kita punya, right? So therefore, again, right, that's how we grow the business. Orang-orang sekitaran mereka juga menjadi sangat makmur. Dengan kemakmuran, they can purchase education, and that's how we grow our nations. That's how we grow our country to be more well educated. Once people get well educated, and then they will go beyond that, right? So those ideas are coming in, Ron. And then probably now that's one of the last part of my sharing. I think how do I start my entrepreneur professional career is that first thing first. Don't never put a blindfold of your mind, right? Keep opening up your eye, keep listening from the people, learning all around, right? Dan kayak kadang-kadang, I mean, sometimes we might be very skeptical kayak, apaan nih? Kayak, nggak penting gitu loh, ya kan? But we never know, right? What's hope behind that? So that's what I start in the initial day when I saw Batam is just a piece of jungle. Can you imagine that I was grown up in Singapore, dulu lahir di Pekanbaru tapi gede di Singapura, and I came to Jakarta. I went to international school. I go to Bandung with a very comfortable university, with a very comfortable life in Bandung, and I went to New York. I coming back to Singapore again, very comfortable. Terus tiba-tiba disuruh nge-develop hutan di daerah Nongsa Batam. I mean, if let's say I don't buy into the visions, if let's say I don't open up my mind, it won't be today, right? I won't be helping more than 1,000 people to get a job overseas company, right? That's one thing that I'm doing. The first thing is I dare to dream. Your dream is never too big, guys, right? That's one thing that I would love to share. Like, I never dreams of like I could, seorang Billy bisa membantu menggerakkan perekonomian at least sebuah daerah, let's say Batam, for example, right? I never thought about it, but today's we are the top contributor of the tax payments into Batam, right? You never know that. That's the second thing is I find the right business by analyzing the opportunity yang seperti saya bilang bahwa to be able to run the business of F&B, you don't have to open up your restaurant. You can be the supplier. So that's what we did, right? Plan your business, find your business targets, right? Jadi kita harus tahu who to serve. Kalau saya mau serve bisnis saya mau serve Tokopedia, kalau bisnis saya mau serve Gojek, it won't work, right? Kenapa? Karena sesama di Indonesia, we don't value each other. So what I have to do? I have to do cross-border beyond Indonesia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, Australia, and many other more countries, right? And number 5 is networking. This is very important, right? I keeping myself stick into Citra Mas dan juga Sinar Mas. So I will say behind all of those Glean's Talent Hub success, I have my partner, which is my co-founder that keeps supporting me. That's one thing. The second thing is through the partnership, right? Partnership dengan Citra Mas, Sinar Mas, right? Then therefore we can go big together. We can go bigger, stronger, right? And then the last one is actually keep selling your idea. Whatever idea that you have, your idea has never been too dumb, guys. Jangan pernah merasa bahwa kita nggak berani berbicara karena merasa bahwa idenya itu terlalu lugu, terlalu bodoh untuk dibicarakan. No, never, right? That's how I start and learn. Okay, so and voila, after this tips, you are ready to enter the market. Yep, I think that's all from my side. Thank you very much. I open up for the Q&A sessions.